the new and improved main show.
Mouth full of coffee.
Yeah, this is the new visual main show, or still normal audio main show. It depends on how you're digesting this.
Yeah.
This is still going up as a podcast as normal, but now we're just posting it on YouTube as well because we know you just been hankering to see our beautiful faces and our cool t-shirts and our cool little lightsaber light. All the good stuffs. All the good stuffs, only for you.
It's summer in Georgia, yet I am still wearing a long sleeve shirt.
Summer in Georgia, but winter in our home.
Yes.
And also because it's a visual medium, you can see, it's probably not that significant to you, but it's significant to me. I shaved.
He did, and it's weird.
I had that beard. That makes it sound really disgusting.
You've had it for your entire adult life.
I had a beard for 7 years.
Yeah.
And yeah, had an accidental close shave, and if you have a beard, sometimes you just can't make it work. It's better just to start over.
He walks into the living room and just says, "Hey babe," I look up, don't register, because I'm on to Pinterest. I'm looking at gluten-free recipes, and then I look at you again, and I'm like, your face is naked.
My face is naked. It's weird.
New.
In case you were ever wondering what my chin looks like.
We had just had a conversation not too long ago. Like, I've never seen your entire face, but now I can say definitively, I like this face. I'd like to.
So hopefully you like it too, because you're stuck with it.
Unless you only listen to the audio.
Or you could go watch something else. But we would hope you'd stay and watch this. But oh yeah, and if you listen to the audio, you can imagine I look like whatever. Just ignore the selfies on Twitter, and Instagram, and Facebook. Are you following us there? You should be. Smooth, right?
Smooth.
You just heard. There's a cat. There is a cat. There's only so much we can do about the cats.
She's locked in a room with us and still.
Yeah. So.
Here we go.
She whines to be in a room with us, and then we put her in the room with us, and then she whines to get out of the room with us. So there's not a lot of compromise.
For those of you watching for the first time, this is Piglet. She's the loud one.
That's Piglet. This is Coffee.
This is weird.
Anyway, so
this is Sparta.
This is going to be one of our new formats. A lot of our friends in podcasting both post to YouTube and to various podcast sites, and since growing our YouTube channel is something that we want to do, we want to hit people up that might not normally listen to podcasts. If something visual is more your speed, then there's the option for that. If you'd like to see the hilarious editing that I do,
he is very good.
YouTube's the option for that. It's mostly hilarious because it's bad, but nonetheless, I'm gonna take my glasses off because the light's bright.
I don't have that option.
I'm gonna imagine we look great because I can't see. But yeah, so it's a part of growing our audience and opening up new horizons and whatnot with Twin Sunsets. But otherwise, nothing really changes, except for after this episode, we are going to begin our new patron exclusive after show.
Yes, it's a no man's land. Get ready.
It's what it sounds like. It's just an extra 20-30 minutes of an episode that you get exclusively if you're a part of Patreon. So if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're listening to this on whatever famous podcasting site you like that might start with an I and end with a tunes, then if you want more, if you're like, man, that was so amazing, I need more of that in my life, there's another 20-30 minutes waiting for you on Patreon.
Mm-hmm.
So you can check that out, and that goes to support us in what we do. It's not cheap looking this good. If it's a audio format for you, then just again imagine whatever you want.
And if you hear the cat and you're like, oh, that cat sounds really cute, YouTube.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, you can see if you're wondering what they look like.
Because I'm not going to describe her to you.
Yeah, it's a cat.
She's my baby.
But. So there's that after show over on Patreon. Check it out, support the show, get in a little extra dose of Nerd Herder. There's also, of course, the other Patreon-y stuff, like we're going to catch up on our 10 things that's been out of whack, just because we've been out of whack, and you can find Twitter to see all of the circumstances that have put us out of whack. But nonetheless, there's going to be a lot going on Patreon, and we're coming up to our 1-year anniversary of podcasting. So what a time to join us.
What a time to be alive.
If you've been with us from the beginning and have been debating it, what better time than now? So since it is the show as normal, news. Some news. There's not a whole lot of news, which we were out for a week, and we expected, oh my gosh, we're going to just have to have a whole show just to catch up. No. One thing we wanted to mention in comic news, it's kind of old now, but we're excited for it, so it's worth mentioning. Charles Soule, one of my favorite writers of current Star Wars, but also just the all-star writer behind the Poe Dameron and Darth Vader's second run comic series. All great ones. If you haven't read them, I highly recommend them. We're going to be talking about some of those on our YouTube channel, so if you're watching this on YouTube, then there you go. Subscribe for all that goodness. In December, he's going to be writing a 4-issue miniseries all about the rise of Kylo Ren, or as he's calling it, #Bin2Ren. It's really cool. They showed the cover for it, and it's got a very stylized logo, the rise of Kylo Ren, of course, but then it's got Kylo, and he's flanked by his Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
And this is a story that everyone's been hankering for. I mean, it was enough that we knew, we're getting Knights of Ren in episode 9. That's awesome. You have a Knight of Ren on the new visual guide for episode 9. Also a TIE dagger, which is cool.
Yeah.
They're really hamming on. You're going to get to see them in episode 9. And then the surprise that, and we're going to go back and tell a little bit. Now, I don't think they'll tell everything.
No. No.
But a long-standing story's been, we get it. He was Ben Solo, took the title of Kylo Ren, and now is a part of the First Order and is hunting down Luke Skywalker. But in between there, Master of the Knights of Ren gets thrown out, and it's like, what
are this?
Is this like the Dark Side Glee Club of the First Order? What? We don't know. I mean, are they going to break into a Dark Side heavy metal rendition of Journey? I don't know. But maybe Charles Soule will let us know. I'm just this was one of the biggest San Diego Comic-Con things, I think, for me.
Yeah.
And I know a lot of other people were excited.
Oh yeah, it looks like a lot of fun. It looks good.
And I'm a fan of anything Kylo Ren, but going to the depths of his involvement with the Knights of Ren and the rise, insinuating we're going to see the first steps of Kylo Ren. It's exciting storytelling.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what he looked like as a baby.
Like a baby.
Like a baby.
Like a baby.
Like a baby. No.
Like a baby. What's that song?
Yeah. Anyway.
Like a surgeon.
Organ transplant.
See, you can now see our movement, so we don't just do and say weird things, but we also flail.
Yeah, and you can also see the looks of concern and confusion that I give John on a regular basis.
Yes, and you can give them to us also. We won't see them, but you can do it.
You can wait till the after show to see John give me some looks of concern and confusion.
Probably.
Yeah. So, in TV and streaming news, executive producer of The Mandalorian, Jon Favreau, local beefcake, remains the source of all Mando coverage, as he recently posted a pic of a Dave Filoni original doodle that I want to frame.
Yes.
And say that it's IG-18.
I love that his doodles look better than my best attempts at anything.
It's a doodle of IG-11 and showing off that they are hard at work on score and music for season 1.
I love that they keep saying season 1 too.
Yeah.
They keep subtly putting it there. This is just the beginning. I mean, it's great that they believe in that so much. It definitely pulled me to a halt on Instagram when I started seeing that. I'm like, oh my gosh. And I just love the visual. It looks super cool. And I'm just imagining IG-11 fronting an IG metal band now, and just rocking out, because it just looks so cool.
Metal band.
Yeah, I get it. Heavy metal.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I got it. That's why I made the joke.
Yeah, the interesting thing so there's a couple of things I wanted to talk about with this that I think are interesting. Number one, if you've been following along with Mando news, then you know all of it pretty much comes from Jon Favreau.
Yes.
On Instagram. He just one day posts a picture, and then Star Wars show or StarWars.com tries to catch up.
Mhm.
It's to the point that they don't write articles for Mando. They just have an article that they keep updating with his Instagram posts. Do you think? Do you like it that John is handling that, or would you like them to handle it in the idea of maybe getting more?
I love it when an artist themselves covers what they're creating. Like I think that's the most pure form of, I'm not gonna say journalism, but like
Advertising.
advertising. You know, yeah, advertising is the perfect word. And like, because so many things can get lost in the shuffle. Like what happened with the Vanity Fair article. Like they printed a retraction.
Oh yeah.
Like 5 minutes afterwards
Mm-hmm.
because they said something about, so I don't even remember which one it was.
It was the one where they said that Kylo was fighting a Knight of Ren, and then said, "Whoops,
Yeah.
not true."
Yeah, like stuff like that can happen, and you get people who can mix up the tone of what you're going for at the same time. But if it's the person themselves,
I
telling
think
you what's going on.
I think that's an interesting point that we don't take into consideration a lot. There's obviously the thing that Lucasfilm and Star Wars, the brand as a whole, wants. But when you bring in different directors, they have a part in that vision, especially if they're also the writer and what, like if they really have a hand in telling this story, then it's gonna be a part of them in that too. And I think we miss that in a lot of marketing, that it's just Lucasfilm. It's not to say it's not just Jon Favreau, but it's also not just Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
If it was just Lucasfilm, I don't think we would get The Mandalorian.
No.
I don't think we would get what we're getting.
Yeah, and it's like people on YouTube talking about David Lynch's films versus David Lynch talking about David Lynch's films, because there's completely different narratives in some people's minds.
Well, and that starts an interesting conversation I always have, mostly regarding like George Lucas, in terms of how much does the creator, director, storyteller have on the impact of the story. In terms of, like I mentioned George Lucas because he's one of the prominent ones where it's like, what does George Lucas think, or what did he say, or and it's like God levels of that's the way it is.
Yeah. When
in reality, I think George can have his ideas, but I think sometimes the story tells itself differently, if that makes sense.
Well, it's like Stanley created Spider-Man, but he did not write Spider-Man Far From Home, kind of thing. Like he put his creation into someone else's hands.
Right. Yeah. It's yeah. It's one of those things
R.I.P.
where,
Stanley.
like, I get that he had an idea he was going for, but what it ended up being was created from others having a hand on the thing.
Yeah.
And so that's why, in some ways, I still refer to George Lucas as a definitive, mostly because usually he's the only one that talks about something. If he's the only one that talks about something, yeah, I'll say he's got the hedge on the market of my opinion. But if clearly there's been other things and other storytellers and other circumstances that have kind of broadened it out, I'm going to kind of take part of it, or even altogether just say, I don't really think that that's where the story is anymore. That's what you might have seen way back when, but now that it's on screen, or now that it's in a show, or now that it's in a game, it's a little different. If that, and so I think that's a really good point with marketing and the different voices that comment on media now, that I think sometimes, like, Jon Favreau could lose his Jon Favreau-ness of The Mandalorian if he let other people handle it.
Yeah. And Jon Favreau has always been a very hands-on director and writer and all that stuff, because like he wrote Chef, he starred in Chef.
He's a wonderful actor too.
He's great.
He's the type of person, like, I think the best leaders are the people that have gone up the ladder. I think because, well, in most cases, I think if you've gone up the ladder, you should be the best leader, because you understand the positions you're leading. Like,
yeah,
if you're a manager who came from having to take out the trash,
Yeah.
you're going to be more considerate of the guy taking out the trash because you used to be that guy.
Exactly.
And so I think when you're a director, or in Jon Favreau's case here, an executive producer, when you're someone who's leading and you get it, you're you not only can write better, you can direct better, you can kind of teach better. Like Gina Carano talked about how impactful his leading of her in a particular scene was, and you only get that by he's an actor, he gets it. He's not just the guy that sits in a corner and writes the stuff and then sends it by carrier mail and then it gets turned into a movie. Like, he's there. So
and let me just say, you don't watch Friends.
Nope.
You've never
have.
You never watched Friends, which makes me deep inside sad. But
not my
I'm
kind
not
of
gonna
show.
force you. His episodes on Friends are some of the funniest.
He was on Friends?
He was on Friends.
Oh my gosh.
As a rich guy who wanted to be an MMA fighter.
Speaking of Friends, he's not our friend, but a YouTuber we follow called Binging with Babish was on a show with Jon Favreau.
He was.
I
want to be Andrew's friend though.
If you like watching cooking stuff, but you also like nerdy, geeky food, Binging with Babish is a great channel where he made something from Bob's Burgers. He's made something from Simpsons. He's like if it's in movies and cartoons, he makes it.
He did an episode from It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia.
Oh yeah.
Where he soaked a piece of ham in rum, and then ate a little bit of it. Like, not good rum, just cheap white rum. And just like, it's so nasty. It's
really cool because usually if you watch long enough, he's gonna make something from something you love. But he's also he touches it up. He doesn't just make bad stuff, because usually this stuff is bad, but he touches it up. He makes it doable.
I will say,
in most cases.
The one thing that I don't think he was able to like make better was the Family Guy carp panini.
Oh yeah.
That was disgusting.
Well, it just there's some times when it only works in the show. But anyway, if you don't know, Jon Favreau loves to cook, and he had a show. Who else was on the show? Gwyneth Paltrow. I think Tom Holland was on it. Like, he basically, all of his connections and friends that he's made throughout his work on everything, he's basically just like, hey, you want to come cook with me? Like, if you remember way back, you might have seen an article where it was like, Gwyneth Paltrow forgets she's in Spider-Man. Like, that's from Jon Favreau's cooking show. The same show Binging with Babish got to be on, and that's so stinking cool. And I don't know, it doesn't relate to anything we're talking about, but Jon Favreau was there.
Yeah.
We like Jon Favreau. And there you go, you get a new YouTube channel you can go binge.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's a really good point that you brought up regarding how vision can change depending on who's telling the story. And I think sometimes we're not in the movie business, but I think sometimes we can probably ourselves think of times when someone's spoken on our behalf and not quite gotten it right.
Yeah.
And so just imagine how much bigger that is in terms of marketing a $1 million show about a Mandalorian. But so the other thing I wanted to mention is with San Diego Comic-Con, a lot of back and forth went on because of the difference between Star Wars panel and Marvel panel.
Yeah.
Basically, Star Wars didn't really give us anything huge. It gave us mozzarella sticks. But then...
Mozzarella sticks are pretty good.
Yeah. But then Marvel shows up, and Marvel brings the whole Golden Corral, basically. Like a whole... Yeah. So, I mean, I don't necessarily want to get into the bigness of it, but in looking at, like, all we've really gotten on The Mandalorian, unless you were lucky enough to be in the Celebration panel, or if you just found a really good video someone took of it, other than that trailer, most of what we've gotten is through Jon Favreau's Instagram. And a lot of people feel that Star Wars should be more on Marvel's level in terms of showing off like, what are you working on? With Star Wars, some people are calling it very secret. Star Wars is being very secretive. Like, we don't know what's coming next. We don't know what they're working on. Would you want to? Do you ever feel the desire to know more of what Star Wars is doing? Not necessarily on the level of Marvel, because Marvel's doing like 3 movies a year, but would you just like to know more about what they're doing?
I'm a weird person in many ways.
But I love you.
I know. I love you too.
I didn't spill it.
You spilled it a little bit. I am okay with not knowing things sometimes.
Sometimes.
When it comes, I hate surprises, but at the same time, if I don't know something is coming movie-wise, I don't form opinions and expectations about it, which makes me enjoy the movie a little bit more. Versus Marvel, I'm looking at the list, I'm being like, I don't know if I'm going to enjoy this. I don't know.
Well, to be fair with Phase 4 is getting a little bit more out there.
Yeah.
It's not Iron Man, it's not Thor, it's not your common sentence heroes.
We're in the multiverse now.
I'm not digging on, and if the main cast are some of your favorites like Captain America, Iron Man, all these commonplace hero names, if they're your favorites, cool. Yeah. But
Captain America's my favorite.
There's a lot of other heroes out there that aren't, like you say, Shang-Chi. It's like most people don't.
Yeah.
I got to geek out with someone at work because of Shang-Chi, and that they enjoyed the comics of, and I know of Shang-Chi, but not as much as they did, and they were super excited. So Phase 4, while being a little bit more unknown, it's really building out the universe, which is really cool.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And I'll say, as like a youth who didn't grow up reading much Marvel comics, I grew up reading X-Files comics. Like my mom and dad, they're giving me my entire backlog of X-Files comics. That was the only comic series that I read.
They were holding it captive.
Yes, they were.
I'm just kidding.
I've never heard of some of the heroes that were announced, but am I excited to see what they are? Heck yeah.
I think this is going to be a really big test for Marvel on can they be just as popular with unpopular characters.
Yeah.
And again, if the new characters announced are some of your favorites, cool. I'm not digging on them. I'm just saying that not a lot of people know about them. So are they going to get the same levels of hype and enjoyment from new characters, new to some?
Yeah.
So, but that's for the Marvel podcast that we don't have.
Yeah.
But my point being, like, I think some people think of if Star Wars was more like Marvel, then we'd get 3 movies a year and all that. Not necessarily that, but they let you know what they're working on. They already have a cast for some of these movies. So I get where you're coming from. I'm one who enjoys the buildup of knowing what's coming without getting it spoiled. I don't want to go to that level of getting it spoiled and then going, I can't do that. But I enjoy the buildup of, oh, this person just cast. Oh, they're filming in this place. Oh, they just finished this. Oh, they're working. You know, I enjoy that. Yeah. Oh, they just showed off a random prop. Like,
I mean, yeah. Dude, like, I've been seeing so much stuff for the Dark Crystal, and I'm so freaking pumped to watch the Dark Crystal.
Mark Hamill's in it.
So excited, because that's one of my favorite Henson Company movies. But anyway, I get that, absolutely. But, like, I don't want it to be... It's a lot.
Oh yeah, I don't think we need that much going on.
Yeah.
But I do think Marvel's winning in the fact that we know for the next 2 years what they're working on.
Yeah.
We don't know all the details, but we know what they're working on. And I think Star Wars can benefit from maybe being a little bit more open about, like, we know the Cassian show's coming, where's it at? Like, what and I don't, again, not details, not trailers, I'm just talking, like, you know, where's it at in the process? Just keeping us in the loop, I think, would help. Like, I think when The Mandalorian is coming out in November.
Yes.
And the fact that we've gotten so little on it, I just feel like there could be more. And I appreciate that Jon Favreau's doing what he's doing, but just imagine if there was like a marketing plan where they say, you know, they're gonna touch base and here and here in production and stuff like. I don't know. I think number one, that's how you lose interest of fans. Is it's like, oh yeah, that's happening.
Yeah.
You know, it's more of a, oh yeah, thanks for the reminder. And I think you keep people hyped up of like, oh, this show's just about this, but oh wait, no, there's an IG droid. Oh, that's more interesting now. It's those things. I mean, Jon Favreau's doing it with his Instagram.
I mean, how excited did we get when we found out that there was going to be an IG droid?
Exactly, and that's the thing of like, we were already excited. We're already going to watch it, but thinking of people that need more of a reason to watch this and enjoy it. Like, I was talking to someone the other day about, it looks cool, but too bad it's on Disney Plus, and I'm like, you don't have enough of a reason to get Disney Plus yet? Seriously? Like, come on. Between all the Star Wars stuff, all the Marvel stuff, and all the just Disney stuff, like, you need more reason? Well, it's because they don't really talk about what they're doing. So, at the end of the day, it doesn't hurt me the way they're doing it now, but I can't help but want more. You know, I can't help but wish that maybe they did a little bit more coverage.
Yeah, I get that.
And it's just because I'm excited for it. I want to know more.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, I don't come from a place of, you've got to tell me everything because I'm a fan of what you create. No, it's just, I enjoy it. I'd like to know more. You know, so recently it was
Sorry.
transition.
That long pause.
So recently it was hashtag Friends Day. And I don't know the source of this holiday, but it was something that took over social media, especially Twitter, which is where we're more active. But also I saw something that went along with it. I guess it was posted because of Friends Day, or it might have just been a coincidence. Either way, the two things met to make a baby. That is the idea for this show. They had a really nice salad, and you get a show.
That's how you have babies, right?
Nice salads.
Just sit down and eat a salad.
I really liked her salad. Anyway. Anyway. Yeah, so basically, I know originally we had talked about July being more about talking about the Force and the ins and outs of the Force.
Oops.
But, well, that next week. I feel like it'll fit more next week because this Friday we're talking about the Yoda's Journey arc of the Clone Wars.
Yes.
Where he has a couple of pretty significant visions.
He has a trip.
So, yeah,
he takes
peyote.
A trip.
So I felt like it'd be more appropriate to put that to next week. Also, all of July's gone. Well, today's the last day of July.
Bye-bye, July.
But ultimately, because of life, we missed July.
Yeah.
So it was something I couldn't avoid putting together for the idea of a show. And it just works. So here we are. But anyway, so yes, it was Friends Day.
Yes.
And of course, Star Wars talked a little bit about it. And of course, this is a Star Wars podcast, so we're going to talk some Star Warsiness.
And of course, you're my best friend, so who better to do a podcast with?
Exactly. So we're going to talk some Star Warsy friends, but it's also going to lead somewhere interesting. And so I'm excited. So we'll see. You know it's coming.
I know it's coming.
Anyway, so Star Wars friendships.
Yes.
Star Wars friendships. When you think of Star Wars friends, who comes to mind first?
Rex and Cody. I think they're big buffs.
They're biffs.
They're buffs.
They're biff. Okay.
And R2-D2 and C-3PO.
Yeah, that's the usual. I think that's what a lot of people think of.
Although they're married, so.
I don't know about that. I don't know if it's a Bert and Ernie situation.
Well, you've heard the news. Bert and Ernie are not a gay couple.
Really?
It's been confirmed.
Okay.
Makes me sad.
Sure.
I ship it.
I've never watched the show, so that's true. Yeah, Star Wars posted a poll, and I think it was Han Solo and Chewbacca. It was C-3PO and R2-D2, and it was Finn and Rey. I think were their options. Rex and Cody are a good one. I don't think they get that much interaction, I guess, as far as we see. But definitely when they're together, I think they.
In my mind.
Yeah, the fanfics. Definitely, I think though, from what we do see,
Yeah.
they're very friendly. They're kind of
It's one of those
they can
things, like, you spend so much time together because people you know are together so much.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta become friends after that. And also, they have something in common. They just get together after work and they're just like, oh my gosh, these idiots that we're dealing with on a daily basis.
Mm-hmm.
Did you hear what they were fighting about earlier? About lightsabers?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bickery.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like they're both the best parts and worst parts of their Jedi counterparts.
Yes.
But I feel like they work together very well.
Oh, yeah.
Like they're a good complement.
Mm-hmm.
So and two of the more fun.
Yeah.
Well, especially Rex. I think he's a much more relatable.
Yeah.
Like if I could recruit.
Yeah, I was gonna say Fives and Echo, but they're dead.
They were friends before they were dead, though.
It's true. It's very true.
Yeah, I mean that the whole of Domino Squad, very close group.
I don't want to
So,
talk about it.
That's good friends.
They're good for you.
Yeah, they're such good friends that they all had to die together. You know when you and your friends just have to do all of the same thing?
Just die.
Oh my goodness. So what are some inspiring Star Wars friendships to you, and why?
I read the script, but I didn't think about it. I definitely say Domino Squadron, because we see the beginnings of the friendship where everybody has that friend where like they started off hating that person, and then you come together, be friends.
Be friends.
Be friends. Well, we're not gonna do that.
Buzz buzz.
Get out of here.
Buzz buzz.
But yeah, like
Be friends.
just keep going with your answer.
I didn't answer. I was listening to you.
Well, now I want you to answer because I don't want to give an answer anymore.
Why? Because you don't want to be friends? Buzz buzz?
Goodbye. Because they have a good relationship, a good friendship where they lift each other up.
Like a support bra. Good friends lift you up.
Okay.
Yeah, I think that relationships are more meaningful in media when you do get to see the beginnings. I think that's where the strength of relationships come from. Not, oh, you're telling me these two people are friends or this group, they're friends, but you see, and even every show that ever has a cast of friends has an episode dedicated to how they became friends. And it's always super awkward because they're not who you know them to be. And I think that's definitely Domino Squad. Like when you're first introduced, they're not who they end up being. So it's almost like this measuring stick of how far they've gotten to grow.
Yeah.
And I think you grow fastest when you're around good friends. You grow a lot. It'll help you grow.
It'll help you
grow. Any other inspiring friendships for you?
I'd say Jim on Twitter mentioned Cassian and Jen.
Oh.
Jen.
Really?
Jen, Cassian. Yeah. It's a good friendship.
I guess.
They're good friends.
They never got... Well, no,
They're
they never got a chance to make it more than that, so I guess, sure. They died before they could
They're
do
supportive.
anything. Right.
Support your friends.
Support your friends. And kill a guy with your friends. Maybe.
Maybe.
If it's Director Krennic.
I mean...
no, I'd
They
say
didn't
that.
actively kill him. Technically, the Death Star
True,
killed him.
okay.
And technically, Tarkin killed him. If we're
Fine,
like,
I'll give you that one. But no, I see the point. I mean, I thought about Jin and Cassian, but I also thought about how the ending kind of lended towards maybe more, maybe if they had the chance. I don't know. But I do think as far as we get to see, they are examples of good friends and how you support and challenge each other. Because certainly they're not exactly from the same cloth, but I think at the end of the day they line up on the right things.
They've been sewn together.
Now, I thought you were going to say Cassian and K2, and I think that's a
very
really good... I like that. Because I think that's a lot of the best friendships aren't completely positive and perfect. There's those times where they say something and you cut eyes at them, or they say something and you just want to smack them. Well, Chirrut and Baze are there. That's a good friendship too, by the way.
It's a very good
It's so good, guys.
They help you grow.
Yeah, especially if you read, I think it's Journal of the Wills. There's a book. There's a young reader's book for Baze and Chirrut. That's pretty cool. They've got a good relationship because they're the kind that are tied together, even though clearly they've grown to a point of having differences. Yeah. They're still. I don't think I can imagine one without the other.
Yeah.
And the best part is you get all of that in a single film, and then they all die. So it's like the storytelling of that is really strong. Yeah. Because typically you have to grow into that sort of passion for characters, or for a character, or for a relationship.
Like Legolas and Gimli. That's a good friendship.
Yeah. Yeah. It's fun. It's a little over the top a little bit in the movies, but it's fun.
Two dude bros,
But even that's something that grows. Whereas, it's not in a single film. Mm-hmm. At least over two. And 2 Lord of the Rings films are equivalent to half of Star Wars.
And if you read more in the book, Legolas leaves the Undying Lands to go get Gimli and bring him back. Mm-hmm. That is one of my favorite things.
Then they go to heaven together, right?
The Undying Lands.
Yes. So there you go.
Yeah.
Find you a friend that you would leave heaven for.
Read the Lord of the Rings books, too.
If you've got 5 weeks, maybe more than that.
Excuse me. 5 years.
I'm just talking about, just reading. Not eating, using the bathroom, no work. Just 5 weeks to read all the books.
That's a conservative estimate.
If you survive through that, then you can get the necessities of life.
Exactly. Then you get to go to the Undying Lands.
Right.
It took me a year to read all the Lord of the Rings books.
I've never been able to finish a book. It's a lot.
It's a lot?
It's a chunk.
It's a chunky book.
I enjoy the movies.
Oh, yeah.
I enjoy the story and whatnot. But even the movies are something I can only do tops once a year. It's a lot. But it's also a testament to how rich it is.
Oh,
it's one of those things where it's like that really strong chocolate milk. You're like, I know I'm not gonna want this again for a while, but I love when I can have it.
It's like when your mom lets you make your own Nesquik, and you just put spoon after spoon in.
See, I just did traditional milk and Hershey syrup.
Ugh, I can't stand Hershey syrup.
I love that. Chocolate milk is amazing.
Nesquik.
So what does Star Wars teach us about friendships?
Friendship is important.
Yes.
It's very important.
Mm-hmm.
Friends support each other. Friends grow together.
Mm-hmm.
Friends mature together. Sometimes you get 2 friends who go off into a closet in the Falcon and make out and come back. Sometimes you're friends with your sister and it gets weird because she kisses you. But she doesn't know you're her sister.
Yeah.
That was weird. That was my favorite part of watching Empire with an audience.
Mm-hmm.
Was when that scene came up, everyone just went.
When we went to Star Wars in concert and saw Episode 5, it was a unanimous reaction.
Everyone.
If you only knew.
So nasty.
Just wait a little while, you'll figure it out, and you'll regret it. I'm sure he thought about that till the day he died.
Yeah.
Regretted it for sure.
Probably. That was his last thought before he left the Force.
I shouldn't have kissed my sister.
Cringe.
Right. You can do all of these big things with the Force, but you can't. An unusually strong connection between us. So part of what I mentioned is I saw something on Facebook that attracted me to the idea of doing this sort of discussion. Because, again, Friendship Day happened. And like I said, either by coincidence or because it was Friendship Day, a friend posted something from Hayao Miyazaki.
The fantastic film director.
Film artist, director.
So fantastic.
The mind behind Studio Ghibli. So My Neighbor Totoro, Princess Mononoke.
What's your favorite Ghibli film?
Princess Mononoke.
Is that Princess Mononoke?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Spirited Away.
Spirited Away is my favorite.
many films that are both amazing testaments to traditional animation,
Yes.
but also just great stories in general. Really good stories.
Looking food.
Yeah, yeah, he knows how to draw
That food though.
They're amazing. They are top tier in terms of anime and animation.
I started making my ramen differently because of Ponyo.
There was the way it looks.
Yes.
Yes, it teaches you how it should look.
Put some ham in there.
There's a point in life where you learn that food should look as good as it tastes.
Absolutely.
Anyway, so yeah, they shared this quote, and like I said, it was one of those things that, in the coincidence of everything else going on, it was one of those thought sparking things, and I figured what better place to talk about it than on the podcast.
Absolutely.
And I think we're going to get into some interesting places that I definitely encourage other people to reach out and talk about with us. Get on Twitter, get on Facebook, whatever, and hit us up with your thoughts about this, because I just think it's interesting.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a quote from Miyazaki, and it's a really cool. I'll post on Twitter after the episode goes up. I'll post the actual one, because it shows shots of his different films that support this quote. Yeah. And so the quote is, I've become skeptical of the unwritten rule that just because a boy and a girl appear in the same feature, a romance must ensue. Rather, I want to portray a slightly different relationship, one where the two mutually inspire each other to live. If I'm able to, then perhaps I'll come closer to portraying true expressions of love.
Absolutely.
Number one, I realized from this how many of his films portray this. Portray a female lead and a male character alongside that, and there's nothing romantic. There's not a wedding at the end. There's not and then they fall in love. It's just that they are in this circumstance together and triumph over whatever challenge there is.
Yeah, and even when there is a romance between two characters, it isn't devalued because, they're still, mutually, they respect each other. They, all of these great things.
Yeah, House Moving Castle is a good example of that, where there's a really good, because the story leans on topics of pride and selfishness and whatnot, because that's a challenge for both characters.
Yeah.
The relationship that builds because of their challenges feels more legitimate, for sure. But there's a lot of examples, Princess Mononoke being one, Spirited Away being one, where it doesn't lead to anything necessarily romantic. And I thought it was interesting because, again, this is just a purely Miyazaki Studio Ghibli thing, but my Star Wars brain instantly went to Ben and Rey. And the concept of... Because I think that Reylo and them in a romance is a very strong topic amongst fans, one way or the other.
It can be very divisive.
And I just thought this was an interesting way to look at it from a different view, because I think it's just looked at as straight, either a love story or not. And I think this is an interesting way to look at it from a lens of it doesn't have to be that.
Yeah, and when I say what I'm about to say, I don't mean what it sounds like. I hate an unnecessary love story in a movie.
I don't see why that'd be a problem.
I don't want people to get offended. I don't want there to be a Reylo.
That's the thing. People are afraid to share their opinion because of the culture, and I feel like you should be able to say that you don't need that relationship just as much. You should be able to say, I do want them to be in a relationship. I'm not saying that, but I mean, you should be able to say either and not be fearful of retaliation because of your opinion.
And that's the thing, in Age of Ultron, I didn't enjoy Natasha and Bruce getting together.
Well, and that's the thing. I don't know that they...
I didn't see
Did
the
they
point.
get together? Was
they
it
kissed.
Okay.
And they flirted, but that's about it.
I think that's why it didn't get anywhere.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I don't dislike love stories in films. if it's a completely manufactured, in the moment romance, I just don't see I don't see the necessity.
I think sometimes in storytelling, romance is used as storytelling.
Yeah,
because I think what they were going for, really.
What?
Just
it's
in it,
chapstick.
just whipping it out.
It's chapstick.
My goodness. I think it was a visual storytelling of like they're mutually misunderstood people with something they hide, or a part of them that they would rather not deal with or something. Like I feel like the quickest way to do that storytelling was to add a slight romance spin to it, and then somehow it's a more palatable, it's more on the surface analogy. Like I feel like rather than do deep character development, sometimes they're like, well, just make it a romance and then people will get it. And I do think that sometimes cheapens things. I think sometimes it's the easy way out of, like, I get what you're going for, but I don't think you needed the romance to show that.
Yes, exactly.
But I do think there is this inability amongst people to imagine the concept of a male and female being in just platonic relationship, just being really good friends. Like, I feel like it's so over people's head that it could possibly happen, because clearly he has to feel this way and she has to feel this way, and it has to be like, I don't know where that comes from.
It comes from real life. I mean, like...
Well, no, but I mean, people think that about
Yeah.
movies and TV and real life. I mean, in general, people have
Yeah.
this idea you can't be a man and a woman and just be friends.
Here's the thing. I have multiple male friends.
Mm-hmm. I have female friends. Like,
Yeah, like, it's one of those things, like...
we have friends. Like, I don't get where the idea comes from and why it's so prevailing in culture.
And even when you are a couple or a marriage like us, and someone sees you with a male friend or a friend of the opposite sex, or of, whatever, I think there are people who just have the immediate reaction of, how dare you, you're married, or something like that.
Well, I think it's this old-fashioned thing of courtesy, where you just don't because it can look away.
Yeah.
But I can get that in some instances, but not all instances. Like, everyone you hang out with it's not that way.
Yeah.
Now, it's not like you're just hanging with anyone. It's not like I just hang with anyone. And it's not like I'm caught in, very out there situations. Yeah. Like...
Here's the thing. I don't have energy to deal with anybody except for you.
There you go. You're safe. I'm too tired to deal with that. I think it's just this old-fashioned thing of you just don't because...
Yeah.
But I also think that's a very... Not just an old-fashioned way of doing it, but that's an old-fashioned way of looking at friendships and relationships. Yeah. It's an old-fashioned way of, no, you just don't do that. Like, I think if you're that worried about your relationship that you can't allow the other person to see other people of whatever variety, I don't think you're probably going to cut it in that relationship. Like, I'm not trying to, like, if you have legitimate issues of anxiety and trust, I can understand having the misconceptions, but for no other reason than culture tells me you can't. Yeah. Because, like, that's just, it's just culture. There's no validity to it, I think.
Yeah, and, we as a people do have the tendency to see, your friend hanging out with someone that they may be attracted to, perceivably, and we go, oh.
Yeah, like this whole teasing culture of, like, it's got to be something. And I mean, single people deal with that crap anyway on a constant basis. Anytime, if you're single, it's like culture is just tuned in to constantly try to set you up or make
Yeah.
something more than it is. Oh, you talk to someone of the opposite sex, you know they might be single. You should like
Yeah.
why are we so pushed towards forcing people into relationships and forcing people into strict boundaries of those relationships?
Yeah.
I mean, I think number one, again, I just think it's old fashioned and outdated. Number two,
Incredibly
I think
so.
that's up to the couple.
Exactly.
I think if the couple has a mutual understanding and a mutual level of and so that's the thing. If you are the type of person or you're in the type of relationship that does have those kinds of views, I think that's completely valid. I think that's valid for your relationship. I don't think that we should make that a societal rule though. I think that if a couple is comfortable to the point of go to lunch with so and so.
Yeah.
You know, like again, I think that it should be up to that couple, not up to society.
Exactly.
What that looks like.
Exactly.
So there you go. I think that answered the first because I was going to ask about how you felt about the concept in general, and I knew it was going to be a big thing. Of it's really silly.
Yeah.
To force this idea that because you're male and you're female and you're together, or even, you know, in modern times. Even if you're male and both attracted to each other, it's like, oh, y'all must be. No, you don't.
No.
We're not so slaved to our desires that every time we're around someone, it's like, oh my gosh.
Although
like,
with Poe Dameron, who can resist?
Who can control yourself?
Who can
Who can
resist?
control themselves around Poe Dameron?
Oscar Isaacs in general. Look at the man.
But it's one of those things where it's just like, you make it sound like people go into this animalistic frenzy when it's like, oh, you're single and of the opposite or attractive sex. And if you're like that, you've got problems.
Yeah.
If you're like that and you're in a relationship, you've got problems. No, I really think it's overstated.
Yes.
I think that, I mean, know yourself and know your relationship.
Yeah.
Again, if you can't trust yourself, that's a different story. But if you're telling your partner, I don't trust you with other people, then I don't know that you can be in a relationship if you can't trust them to interact with other people. Like, I don't know. I mean, maybe I'm heavy on it, but...
I know. I'm like a penguin. I'll just chill. Just slip down the side of the mountain.
It's one of those perspectives where I just really get bent in terms of why.
Why? 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 Why?
Why can't they? Why can't they just be friends? Now, again, I'm not going to go ballistic on someone if they feel like, oh no, I think that Ben and Ray could be a legit relationship. Cool, that's fine. I don't think we're necessarily here to talk Ben Ray relationship side. I think it's more of, could it work as that, and how could people how would, like, let's say that happens, let's say they don't get together in a romantic relationship, do you think people could handle it? Like, do you think people can deal with just friends, Ryan Reynolds style? I love that movie.
I know you do.
It's one of my favorite Ryan Reynolds movies.
You watch it every time it comes on.
I swear. I love that movie.
I know you do.
It's amazing.
Anyway.
I'm sorry. No, I'm sorry. Okay.
No.
Anyway, do you what do you think? How do you think people would respond to Ben and Ray just being friends in the end?
I think people kind of, overthink it sometimes. Like, it's fine if they're just friends.
Mm-hmm.
I'm chill with it.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't say that for everybody. At the same time, if they do get together, I'm chill with it. But I can't say that for everybody. Like,
yeah. I mean, I will say, while I can see Ben as a character in a relationship, I can't see that so much for Ray. I don't know what it is about the flavor of her character.
Coconut.
The smell of her, archetype. The sound of her existence. I don't know. I'm just willy-nilly.
What does the sound of phrase?
Sound of existence sounds like, at least for me.
Who am I?
It sounds like that and a coffee percolator. There's a fish in the percolator. That's a Twin Peaks reference if you didn't get it. Not the restaurant.
Not the restaurant. No.
Although I can't speak for Twin Peaks' percolators. I don't know what they put in there. Probably scantily clad outfits. Anyway, I don't know what it is about Rey, but I don't like. It's more of I was mentioning a mutual friend of ours, who is the type of personality I don't see needing a relationship.
Yeah.
Like she's the type of person that she doesn't want it, and everybody gets it.
And that's fine.
Because she's amazing. It's this mutual thing of like, she don't need nobody, and she don't need nobody.
Mm-mm.
And I get the same vibe from Rey in terms of like, I just don't feel like she needs anybody.
Yeah.
Like I don't know. And I don't know if that's because of the build of her character in terms of her upbringing and everything, and not being around those kinds of relationships.
Mm-hmm.
Because
she's definitely not been around a healthy relationship.
Well, the thing I can say for great writing and great acting on Daisy Ridley's part is she feels like a character that has been secluded. Mm-hmm. She feels like a character that's been away from the rest of the world.
Yeah.
And so she's the type of character that hasn't grown up with the pressure of, are you going to get in a relationship? Are you going to meet somebody? Because she didn't have anybody to put that pressure on her. So I don't feel like she's even like on the radar of, wait, what, relationship? I mean,
I get you.
Stop holding my hand.
At the end of the day, I don't care which way.
Here's the
as long as, it's well done.
Rey's not my character.
Yeah. At the end,
I don't know her story. I'm just speaking from my interpretation.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not trying to say that that's the way the story has to be. I'm not trying to say that I'm going to be disappointed if she gets in a relationship. I'm just saying where I see her now.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily. The part of the reason I don't support their relationship is just because I don't feel like she cared. Like, I just don't. I feel like she's longing for relationships, but not necessarily romance.
Mm-hmm. The way your shirt is from this angle, it looks like Chewie's head's on Luke's body.
Nice.
And it's really funny.
Just a farm boy.
Hairy farm boy.
Hairy farm boy.
I think that's Roll Farm Boy's cousin.
Right. So, hi, Anthony, by the way.
Hi, Anthony.
So, yeah, I mean, again, this is a topic that we really put out there to get more opinions and perspective on.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, we're not bashing anyone who does think that a romantic relationship for Rey would be,
Absolutely not.
Like,
Again, it's just mine. My interpretation is that.
Exactly.
But at the same time,
your interpretation may be different.
Right. Well, it's my interpretation. Leave it alone, Karen. It's mine. No, but I mean that in the sense that it's my interpretation because of the person that I am, the circumstances I've been through, the way I watch these movies, the way I experience these characters. It's through multiple lenses that I form the opinions that I have.
Yeah.
The chances of someone else forming the same opinion as me for the same reasons, and the fact that they would put that in a movie, I highly doubt it.
Yeah.
It's just what I'm putting out into the ether that I think. And I think that's a big thing to get. So Tyler Bucks, if you don't know. So Tyler, he works with Chatter Squadron. He's really great, and the podcast is amazing. You should definitely check it out, and you should check out the Facebook page.
Sounds like Richie
Star
Rich's
Wars
cousin.
News.
Sorry.
Hi, I'm Richie Rich. Have you met my cousin Tyler Bucks?
Tyler Bucks.
And then there's Nancy Sense.
Oh,
and then there's Pablo Euro. Oh, what's more money? It's Jack Doubloon.
No. It's Donnie Yen.
Oh, it's perfect. Oh my gosh. There was a GIF. It's not even a GIF. It was
him doing the bottle cap challenge.
No, that was cool.
That was incredible.
But there was a video. It was from some movie he did where he did like aerobic karate to get dressed. And there's a point when he rips his pajamas into boxers. Like he just decides that his pajamas are boxers now. It's hilarious.
It's like what I do with all of my
It's like Richard
pajama
Simmons
pants.
and Jackie Chan had a baby, and then that baby had a TV show. It's amazing.
Does anybody else have the problem where pants are too long for their legs? It's the pants
most
problem.
short people.
It's the pants.
It's the pants.
My
not
legs
the
are
people.
fine.
Sure.
My legs are
My legs are fine.
They're perfectly.
It's your pant, sir.
They are a perfectly appropriate length. Thank you.
Anyway, so Tyler
Pants.
over on Chatter Squadron
Yes.
is his podcast. Star Wars News is his Facebook page. He shared about a really well written and something I can't completely do justice to with not having it in front of me, but talks about the perspective of just letting people have their joy and opinions.
Yeah.
And and that's a really, really, really simple way to put it. I really encourage you. I actually shared it on Twitter.
Yeah.
I shared it on Twitter recently, so if you want, you can go through and find it. I might even reshare it. But overall, it's the same thing of like, let people have their opinions.
Yeah.
I am a big supporter in, as long as it's not immoral or harmful to other people, have your opinions.
Yeah.
Because there's definitely opinions that are just bad.
Yes.
There's opinions that are just wrong or ignorant or uneducated.
Yeah.
There's opinions that are very slanted, for sure. But I think if we make it out to be that all opinions are bad or all opinions are good,
Yes.
we're completely wrong. But
my opinion is the only opinion.
Right, exactly. So I think more in the idea of let people have the opinion that brings them joy and doesn't hurt anybody.
Exactly.
Simplest way I can put it.
Mm-hmm.
Let people have the opinion they want as long as it brings them joy and doesn't hurt anybody.
Yes.
What bad does it do to anyone to have the opinion that Ben and Ray should end up together? What
It don't hurt me, no.
What bad does it do that Claude and Chewbacca should end up together? Because I'm in that club. No, I'm just kidding. But
He's
who does it hurt?
married.
Who does it hurt? Supposedly. We ain't seen her. Where's she at? Probably in a Snuggie holding a little crystal ball and doing that weird cooking show. I don't know.
That's what we're gonna do for our Christmas card this year.
Where's Mala? Where's Mala?
Hashtag where's Mala?
Give me that show, Carmen Sandiego. Where's
In the
Mala?
world is Mala.
So anyway, but yes, to go support. Tyler's doing amazing stuff, especially with Star Wars News and Chatter Squadron, to spread positivity.
Yes.
That's what we want to be about. And in talking about these topics of how we can get stuck in these kind of unsupported opinions, I think the hope is not to make anyone feel bad if you fall into that realm, but just to challenge you to think about why you have the opinion you have, or why someone having a different opinion bothers you so much.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, the more we can ask ourselves why, number one, the more we understand ourselves, and the more we understand ourselves, the better we interact with other people.
Yeah.
If I understand why this person saying this thing bothers me, all of a sudden then I can have a better relationship with this person because I understand myself better and I understand us better.
Yeah.
And so I think the more that the Star Wars fandom can do that, the better it will be for everyone.
I mean, even on the subject of, single people who just want to stay single, I have a friend who is a romantic. She doesn't really have, she doesn't experience attraction like we do. She's aromantic and asexual.
Oh,
Yeah.
I thought she's a romantic.
No, aromantic.
No, like, you're such a romantic.
It's like, it can be easily misread as aromatic.
Aromatic.
Aromantic.
Oh, you're so aromatic, Nancy.
I didn't really understand her point of view until we sat down and we talked about it. Like, I'd never heard of being aromantic before. So, it's...
Can you give a quick, what is that? Because I'm legit, like, I don't know what that is.
She doesn't
What that
really
means.
experience attraction to people.
I
That's
get you.
her particular, preference.
Mm-hmm.
That's not for everybody, but that's
No,
her personal experience. She
and
doesn't...
I think the
experience
reason
romantic
that
feelings.
that would be so counterculture is just because, again, there's this societal pressure. You, especially if you're female,
Dude,
get in a relationship, have 10 babies, and be done. That's all you.
There's been asexual people for as long as there's been people.
Mm-hmm.
And, like,
It's not. I do not believe relationships are for everyone.
No.
Romantic relationships. I mean,
Everybody deserves to be loved.
I think down to our fiber,
But, yeah.
humans were created for relationships.
You gotta
I
experience that agape love,
Yeah, exactly. Agape.
Please stop. Get away from me.
But I do believe there's also we're created for relationships. I just don't believe we aren't.
Yeah.
We
are a pack animal.
Even if you're introverted, you are created for relationships on a micro level. You can't deal with the macro relationships.
Yes.
But even still, you crave relationship. It's just very specific and very particular people. The applications are very difficult.
Yeah. I am a very introverted person. I get, tired of people very easily. But I still crave community. I still crave, relationship.
Mm-hmm. It's just closer knit.
You.
That's my face.
And with, close friends.
So even being introverted, I think we were created for relationships,
yes.
one way or another. I don't believe we were created for romance only and specifically. I don't. I
agree.
And it's not for everyone. Again, our friend, she doesn't need that.
No.
And she's
perfectly happy. She's doing great.
I think we look at it like it's a handicap. Like, oh, bless your heart. Oh my goodness. Like, aren't you such a trooper? Like,
yeah. No, there's nothing wrong with it.
Life was not created for two people. Like, it wasn't created just for, like, you only do life if you do it with two people. Like, no. So, I mean, I don't know how, let us know what you thought of the topic in this episode. It's definitely not purely strictly Star Wars. We talked Star Wars and how it relates to Star Wars, but I think we talked very openly and whatnot. Very different. So hopefully it was a flavor that was good. Hopefully it was enjoyable.
It was coconut oil.
I'm not necessarily saying this is going to be all the time, but I'm also not saying that this kind of format might not come back. Yeah. But again, it was something we wanted to talk about. It was too interesting of a topic to avoid, I think.
Yeah.
And go watch some Studio Ghibli movies because that's amazing.
Please do. Those are incredible.
So as far as announcements, it's real simple. It's very similar to what we had on the last show, because the last show was when we thought we had life together and life pulled the rug from under us.
Yeah.
But after this, we will be putting up our Patreon after show. So that's something new that's happening. If you join us on Patreon, then you get an additional segment of the show that no one else gets. And so if you find your life lacking a little bit of extra nerd-herdedness, you can go to Patreon and support us for $1 a month and get access to more goodies.
And speaking of support, I do want to say, we announced on Twitter that my grandfather passed away this last Sunday. And I wanted to say thank you for all of your thoughts and your prayers and your nice vibes. I really appreciate that. It's helpful. Also, today's my mom's birthday. Happy birthday, Mom.
Happy birthday!
Mm-hmm.
Love you.
Love you, Mommy. You're not listening. You don't listen to the podcast.
Ooh, you're going to get an angry text later. We'll tune in next week to see if she got that text. But yes, thank you. Just in general, everybody is super, super duper supportive, and it's really amazing.
It's incredible.
I think we're harder on ourselves than anyone else. I think we hate being away from the show so much that we make it as this big thing. Mm-hmm. And in reality, you guys are all there for it and very encouraging. And so us being almost a year into our podcast journey, that's just the kind of community that has been able to be built over us just pressing record and rambling is very amazing. And so thank you to everyone who is on the other side of this video, this microphone, all of that. Thank you so much for listening. Mm-hmm. Thank you to Rebecca and Jim because they go the extra mile of supporting us through Patreon. Yeah. And that every day I wake up and realize that people are doing that is amazing. Yeah. And even those like Micah and Ryan and Neil who share the show constantly, Megan who is always present and always more than supportive and encouraging, so many who do so much to keep us going and to really make this feel like such an amazing community.
And also big shout out to my brothers who have been telling their friends about the podcast.
Yes, like talking to someone who actually works at Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
In the digital effects department.
Who's in the middle of an NDA right now.
Right.
So
he was like, I want to talk about Star Wars, but I legally cannot or the mouse will kill me. What?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
and it's not even just that. We had a couple of people while we were visiting family who stopped to talk to us about it, and
Hi, Chris.
it's unreal.
It's crazy that people in our real lives, not that you guys aren't real.
No, but like people,
physical.
Yeah, like I mean, the biggest thing with starting this was always, who the heck is going to listen?
Yeah.
Who's going to watch?
At the end of the day, we had the idea of this is for us. We don't care if anybody listens.
Right. And I think sometimes it's still to the point of like, we do it because we love it. But the fact that other people care and love and support this, it's incredible.
So weird.
And so there's not enough thanks in the world for all of that.
No. There's not enough cake in the world to share.
There's
with
not
all
enough
of you.
swag and goodies, but nonetheless, thank you so much. And there's, again, Patreon's a way to get more, but certainly anything and everything that anyone does to listen and support the show is fantastic. We'd love if you'd let more people know, and a great way to do that is to rate the show wherever possible, share it off of YouTube, like it on YouTube, all of that stuff. Let people know. If you enjoy the show, then why not tell someone? It's the easiest way to support us and get us out there, and to find more people who love Star Wars and positivity and just weird conversation.
Yeah.
So, so thank you, and encourage you to do that. Also, something with Patreon, we have 10 things we love about series.
We have 10 things.
We have 10 things. I'm one of them.
This is number 2.
Yeah. A new episode of that will be going up this weekend? Question mark. I think.
What are we talking about?
Soonish. It's Return of the Jedi.
Oh, heck yeah. Speaking
so
of...
that'll be going up on Patreon as an exclusive. Exclusive early access, because Empire Strikes Back, 10 Things We Love About That, and 10 Things We Love About Phantom Menace Special Edition is coming to YouTube. Those have been out for quite a while and available to patrons, but they're becoming available to the public now, so it's one of those things, if you want it early, if you want it soon, if you just can't live in a world without more Nerd Herder, then Patreon's the way to go for that.
Also,
it's the way to get more.
Check your priorities.
Right. If Nerd Herder is your number one priority. But anyway, so yeah, that's the show. If you're not on Patreon with us, that's it. That's all you get.
No questions.
There's a whole nother 30 minutes. You can be in on it, Bob. But
Robert.
only if you join Patreon. But anyway, I think we've said thank you a ton, but thank you. And we will be back Friday with Clone Wars, our final episode of Clone Wars. That will not be going up on YouTube. That'll be just for our regular podcast.
Yes.
But
that's for us and us alone.
And anyone that has iTunes or Spotify or Google Podcasts or Pocket Casts or any other podcast form. Anyway.
Yeah. How many podcasts can you fit in your pocket?
10.
Because you're a guy and you have real pockets.
Yeah. Another thing. So that's Friday. Friday is our final episode of the Clone Wars rewatch. And then next week we start Rebels. So that's exciting.
We've already started Rebels.
Yeah.
And oh boy.
Yep. But other than that, that's our show. And next week will be a little bit more packed out because YouTube will be filling up more and we'll be back on streaming schedule and all of that good stuff. But for now, we're just happy to be back. It feels nice to be doing this. It's become such a regular routine that not doing it for so long feels weird.
Yes.
But nonetheless, have a good rest of your night, day, whatever time you find this. Don't forget to find us on social media. We've got Twitter, Facebook, Instagram. I'm getting good at the gram, guys. We've got Twitch. We've got YouTube. We've got podcasts on all kinds of formats.
We've got MySpace.
Yeah, MySpace.
We've got a GeoCities
Napster. So much. We've got a Go Penguins. Is that what it was called?
It's called Club Penguin.
Club Penguin. We've got a Club Penguin.
Ignorant.
I don't know what it is. Anyway, but find us on all of that stuff to stay up to date and stay fresh with all the nerd herderness, and we'll be back soon and see you then.